everybody. Can everybody hear me? Everybody
can hear you.
Okay,
yes.
Fantastic. So I'm going to start off today with saying you are amazing. As you saw from that video, that gal did what to me would be the impossible. She arranged 32,000 dominoes. It took her, I believe, 3 months in order to not just design it, but to actually put the entire thing together. And as you can see, she used all her available space, including her windowsills, to create this masterpiece. And so if she can do something as complicated and as beautiful and as synchronized, because everything had to be spaced out and timed exactly in order for every moving piece to fall. If she had just one piece out of place, it would stop and the whole thing would be ruined. And so yet it was incredible the amount of precision that we witnessed. And it was awesome, I think, because one of the things that we saw, there were parts of it where it showed kind of like the old figure of the Pac-Man, which was stern. And then there was other parts where it showed the Pac-Man where the Pac-Man was happy. And I think that's a message to us that sometimes, even though we are on this journey to create these different things in our lives, there are things that come up unexpectedly that are the unwanted, and it's okay. That doesn't ruin the entire masterpiece of what you're creating. You can still move forward and succeed in having that creation come to fruition. And we're going to get started. I want everybody to take a moment and just, we're not going to share the specifics yet. We have a specific order that we're going to go through, but thank you for attending the 90-day HeartMate Consciousness Experiment. And so I'm going to start off with the first person. We've got Rob. And if everybody would go into the chat, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a chat. And we've got a couple people. Okay. So Robert, would you start off with saying hi? Let us know whereabouts in the world you are. And
Sure.
And so just everybody introduce yourselves, your name, and then what city, state, country that you're in.
So I'm Robert. I'm currently still in Portland, and I'll be here until next week or thereabouts, maybe about 2 weeks, and then I'll begin my cross-country trip to New York State, where I'll go and see my family.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, Robert. Okay, and next person is Haiti. Will you unmute yourself and tell us?
Yep. Yeah, so I'm Haiti. I'm from Queensland, Australia.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you. I think, well, between Robert and I, you are definitely the person that's farthest away at this point. Thank you for joining us, Haiti. I really appreciate it. Okay.
No worries.
David, unmute yourself and tell us.
Yeah, my name is David Cation. I live in Chatham, Illinois. Which you might be more familiar with. Some call it Abraham Lincoln's home. And it's the state capital of Illinois, and it's kind of in the central part of Illinois. So that's where I live.
Fantastic. All righty. And then Terry, would you?
Aloha. My name is Terry. I live in Makawao on the island of Maui in the United States.
Wonderful, wonderful. And as beautifully depicted in her background, which is clearly Hawaii. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us, Haiti, too. Okay, Colin, would you please unmute yourself and tell us?
Hi, I'm Colin and live in Vancouver, British Columbia.
All righty. So we've got our friends up north in Canada. So thank you, Colin, also for joining us. As you probably saw from I finally was able to put together, thanks to Robert, thank you, you suggested that we do a Facebook group or page. So initially I created a page, not realizing that there's limitations with the page that you can just follow the page, but you can't, it doesn't seem like you can interact that much. So then I created the Facebook group. So there we'll be able to have, the constant, links and updates and polls and everything will be posted at least in that one place. And it's much easier to, for everybody to find whatever questions they might have. And then it's just those of us who are participating in this particular experiment and not just everybody who's part of the Dr. Joe follower reading group. We got
So,
some.
so Lillian, where's the group then?
So the group is on Facebook. I posted it. I posted the Facebook group link to the 90-day HeartMate Consciousness Experiment Facebook group. I put it in our original group. Oh, we got another person joining us. Okay. We'll have those two people introduce themselves in just a moment. So we're just talking right now about the new Facebook group. Again, thank you, Robert, because that was your suggestion. And I was already having a challenge trying to respond back to everybody, answer everybody's questions, and also give them, make sure that they had the Zoom link so that they could participate. And then those who knew that they couldn't be here live because it's 2, 3 in the morning, wherever they are, whatever country they're in, that they would be able to get access to the first recording, then the second recording, the playlist. So at least now it's going to be, all centralized in one place. It'll be much easier to find out and to manage. So if you don't have the Facebook group link yet, and I think, David, I'm pretty sure I sent you an invitation. We've got Sandra that's just joining us now. So yeah, if you haven't, let me know. Reach out to me. You can private message me on Facebook. And if you haven't got the link yet, because you might be able to find it, I think, in the Dr. Joe followers dating group. Because what you can do is in the search, you can just put 90-day HeartMate, and anything that has to do with 90-day HeartMate will show up. But we had over 400 people that were interested just from Facebook. I don't count the people who said that they wanted to participate that found us, directly from YouTube. So just from Facebook, we had over 400 people. We couldn't let all 400 people in. And I cut it off after the first 8 days. People who watched, the recording of the 7th, and then that Monday, the 10th, they were able to continue on their own, watching the recordings and then reporting back their findings and so forth. So that's why you'll see that there's more people in the group than we actually have on the Facebook, not Facebook, I'm sorry, rather than these live Zooms. And the live Zooms, we have 7 to 10 people roughly, but we do have participants that are part of the experiment. They're just not live on the Zoom because of the time just doesn't work, because we're doing this around the globe. We have somebody from Czech Republic. We have somebody from India. In fact, let me tell you, so far, this is the list. We have obviously the USA. We have Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, Orlando, Florida, Morocco, Nebraska, Tampa, Florida, Calgary, Canada, Delhi, India, Denver, Colorado, Huntington Beach, Czech Republic, Brazil, and Australia. Oh, and we also have Mexico. I forgot to write. We have somebody from Mexico as well. So bear with me as I systematize this. I'll be better at getting back to responding to your inquiries and your questions. I know there were some pretty amazing manifestations in this last week, and several of you I had conversations with. A couple of you I had some Zoom calls. So I'm especially excited because I kind of have a peek preview of things that are coming up. So that's very exciting. So I wanted to share that with you as well. I wanted to share with you, we talked about, of course, we're watching the Superhuman movie, The Invisible Made Visible. It's not a requirement to watch that every week, but as you feel that you want to maybe recap something from the movie, you may want to watch segments of it here and there. Just follow your own intuition on that is what I'm going to say, because that's what I'm doing. Okay. We, of course, know that we're all committed to the weekly Zoom calls. We are committed to talking daily to our heartmate and feeling that sensation of gratitude and appreciation. I think a lot of us in the group are starting to put 2 and 2 together, that the more feelings that you allow, and I'm going to define feelings and emotions not just by the obvious feelings of joy and being exuberant, but your visual, your auditory, your kinesthetic, your olfactory, your gustatory. As you use those senses to feel your heartmate, as you feel the pressure of your hands on their shoulders, of them touching their cheek, kissing them on the forehead, kissing them on the lips, holding hands, the more sensory perceptions that you can experience as you play, you're really taking the potential waveforms of energy and you're turning them into particles. They're rearranging in 5D. And we know that this is not just like a fleeting thought. It's not just a fleeting activity. we are actually tangibly moving those particles and rearranging them so that we enter into a dimension of reality where one day, boom, that person is going to pop into your experience. It really is inevitable. So we are magnetizing it and quantum leaping forward to have that happen sooner rather than later by doing this experiment. This is a conscious, intentional, we are using our free will, choosing to do this. So, of course, we talked about the visualization, the sensation aspect of it, and then we also are visualizing ourselves talking on the phone every day with our friend. Doesn't matter if it's in the morning, if it's in the evening before you go to sleep, anytime during the day, you can pick up the phone, you can go, oh my gosh, and you start telling them how excited you are, how grateful you are that you finally have them in your life. And you can take that to whatever detail, whatever you would really like to have happen in your life. And so, yeah, and feel the swirly sensation of the energy inside your body and the connection that you have with that person. You're telling them how grateful you are, and you're not just visualizing it, you're actually going to say it out loud, because the more senses you use, you're saying it, you're now thinking, saying, feeling, and hearing. Your brain's going to hear your voice actually saying it to your best friend over the phone. And that's really important. And I'm being very mindful to integrate what my background is in neurosomatics. So I am doing things that I know that conscientiously doesn't have anything to do with our belief. It's taking advantage of how the brain uses the 8 neurosomatic systems of the body to move forward and how it operates. So it doesn't matter what we believe or what we think or what we know. By us intentionally having a clear intention with an elevated emotion and using the multiple senses, the feelings, the perceptions, the visualizations, by integrating all those things together, things just manifest faster. It's really part of the formula, but we're just kind of kicking it up a notch. So then, of course, we have our programming our water daily, so that we have every day, we have our 1 bottle of water over a 24-hour period that we have marked it. I shared mine. I have you can probably see, I'm trying to see what's the best way to show this. Yeah, you can kind of see, it's probably easier over a dark background. So you see I have a heart. I have that infinity symbol for infinite love. I have a few other symbols in here that have to do with financial things, like, I have the symbol of Solomon, which some of you know what that means. You can Google it if you don't know what the symbol of Solomon, what it signifies. But the bottom line is that you're programming your water with love every day. So it's make no mistakes. We saw, I believe it was on May the 10th, which was our first Monday that we met, we saw the experiment with water that Dr. Imarasu Emoto did, and how spoken words, thought words, or images didn't make any difference. The crystals in the water, when they were magnified, they organized in a spectacular, symmetrical snowflake type order, as opposed to if you used words of anger, hate, fear, or worse yet, if you ignored the water altogether. The water almost looked dirty. It was really alarming. So it really does make a difference doing this programming, which is because it's a consciousness experiment, and we really do want to manifest our heart mates. That's why we did that. So that was programming water. The next thing we did last week, as you know, so the next thing we did was the forgiveness exercises, and there were 2. As you know, we did the magic frame experiment. Well, it's not an experiment. That's actually a neurosomatic practice to let go and forgive whatever person, place, thing, organization, whatever trauma you've had that's been part of your history. It is, I apologize. I'm going to, that is, we all unknowingly are walking around with these heavy backpacks. We don't know it. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. And so we've been inadvertently walking around with these backpacks of weight, of thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are negative, that are as a direct result of people, places, things, organizations, circumstances that have traumatized us and which have created feelings of anger, frustration, resentment. Sometimes there are people that we need to forgive. Sometimes we need to forgive ourselves. And so in order to move forward, we don't want to bring that baggage with us moving forward. We don't want that to be part of our creation as we attract our heartmate into our experience. So we wanted to let that go, leave that in the past. So we did that forgiveness visualization, the golden frame technique, and then burning it. So today I am really looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. What were the results? And these are the things that we are going to be looking at as we look at what you experienced as you burned that paper. You're going to tell us how you burned it. Was it in a metal bowl, a stone bowl? Was it in your fireplace or a fire pit? I want to know what you feel, what you felt, what you found, and anything, if there were notions or inklings or insights or anything that popped up, because those are very important insights. It's like the divine is speaking to you, letting you know. This process automatically helps you digest these emotions that have been ricocheting inside of your body for years. And so that doesn't need to be the case anymore. For most of us, I'm going to say most because there's nothing in life that's 100%, but for most of us, we're going to have to use this magic frame technique anytime we have a memory of something. It's like, oh yeah, I remember so-and-so did that terrible thing to me. Or, oh yeah, I remember when I was like 8 years old, my mom, I got into the back seat, and before I got a chance to clear my leg, completely into the car, my mom closed the door on my leg, and oh my gosh, I saw stars. I thought I had broken my leg. I was horrified. I felt so, not just physical pain, but I also felt wounded because she said she was sorry, but there wasn't that much care. It was kind of like no big deal. And then let's just go. That personally actually happened to me. I still have a little dent on my shin from that. And so, as a kid, I didn't have these tools to resolve those things. And I knew that I knew it was an accident. I knew she didn't do it on purpose. I've never brought it up to her. So when I did realize that it was an issue, I did a process like this to just let it go. So as things come up, this is a tool that moving forward you can use to help let that go. So without further ado, I'm just going to go in the order that I see you across the screen. As you can see on my computer screen, I've got myself, then I have Terry, David, Haiti, Colin, Robert. If somebody adds back on or drops off and comes back on and the order changes, I'm just going to follow order, making sure that we get everyone's going to get a chance to report their findings. So we're going to start with Terry. Terry, would you please unmute yourself and tell us, what was this forgiveness experience like for you and the burning of the paper? What did you notice?
Well, I noticed that I had to light the paper 3 times to get it to completely burn. And it just was a reflection of me of how, in my experience, there's layers of forgiveness. Like I think I've forgotten or forgiven something, and then over time, some other aspect of it will come up. So that's what kind of the awareness that I had, was that it's in layers as it's unpeeling and releasing from my energetic body.
Yeah. So I want to let you know that your experience with having the paper refuse to burn, I mean, it doesn't make any sense because, as you know, paper is super flammable. It's made from
Right. Yeah.
so it doesn't make any sense that the paper resists being lit. So again, I want to bring you back to Dr. Emoto Emarasu's experiment, where he talks about the words that you think, that you say, that you feel, the images. If I were to take this water, and he actually did this in his experiment, he took a picture of a swastika and he put it on the water. We all know that the swastika has to do with Hitler and the horrible Holocaust, where 6 million Jews and probably about another million non-Jews who were also killed during that event. So just the picture of the swastika, if you Google it on YouTube and you watch and see those images, you're going to be amazed how dirty the water looks. There's no symmetry whatsoever. It's ugly, it's brown, it's disgusting. So that just goes to tell you, when you have negative images in your mind. So going back to the paper resisting, think about the word.
Mhm.
You're letting go of things that no longer serve you. You're literally putting this in the past. You're resolving and dissolving it by burning it. You are physically and energetically digesting this stuff that happened on purpose, not to you, but for you. So
Mhm.
the same thing happened to me. I could not explain. I burned mine in the fireplace. So I thought it was going to burn. I thought it was going to take 2-3 minutes. What I found was, okay, and you know how you have those logs for your fireplace that you buy them at the supermarket where it's like an Insta log and it usually catches
Mhm.
really quickly? So I put the paper, I lit the Insta log, and then I put the paper on top and they both turned off. And I said, what? So I kept on having, you're lucky, yours only was 3 times. I lost count how many times I had to keep lighting it, keep lighting it, keep lighting it. I had to get additional long fireplace matches and make sure that all the edges of that log would turn on and catch fire, and the paper still would resist. And so it took a while. I don't remember, but it probably took, I don't know, maybe an hour. It took forever for that.
Wow.
And so I realized the energy, the words that were written on that paper, the intention and the feelings and the thoughts that I had as I wrote it down, I thought, this is crazy. It's like nobody would, I wish I would have videotaped it. Honestly, I didn't, but I wish I had, because I don't think anybody would believe me. It doesn't make sense to put some papers inside a fireplace. Anything you put in a fireplace usually burns up, pretty good. So that was bizarre. So you noticed that there were layers of forgiveness. Was there anything else?
Well, I did use a metal bowl, and now I want to go back and burn a plain piece of paper without anything written on it, just to see if it would ignite and burn the very first time. I'm really curious now.
Yeah. I actually did, because I wanted to compare. I did the same thing because I was like perplexed. I'm like, is there like a flame retardant on this paper or something? So yeah, so that is a natural curiosity to have after
Mhm.
having that experience. Okay, is there anything else that you want to say with regards to that burning that?
I was just aware too of watching the smoke rise. I just felt like there was something almost spiritual to that.
Yeah, when I did mine, this was several years, this back in 2000, I want to say it was 2000, it was either 13 or 14. It was December of 2013. I remember now. And when I did it, I remember, it took a while for the smoke to start, because it was so hard to get it to burn. But once the smoke started coming up, I did notice certain patterns in the smoke. And there were a few times that I saw infinity symbols, which
Mm.
I thought, oh, that's odd. I go, well, I thought it was a coincidence. And then I noticed several hearts, and I thought, I'm like, ooh, that's a coincidence. So it caught my attention, and then sometimes something might spark or whatnot, but I just thought, okay, I know it's all energy. I was thinking very one-dimensionally, oh, this is energy, and kind of having a notion of what was happening spiritually. About an hour later, it hit me, the spiritual aspect, and some of the integrations that I had and insights were just amazing. So I'll share that at the end, but yeah, is that all you want to share, or do you have anything else?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're moving on to David. David, please share with us your experience with burning your forgiveness paper?
Well, initially when you did the program, and it went white and black and white and black, I resisted that, I noticed, and it was hard to pick a color. And so I just remember there was resistance. And then we crumpled the paper, and I didn't burn it that night. I waited till the morning, and I thought, I really like these words. I thought about making a copy. So I had a copy of the words, and I chose not to. I thought, you don't want to copy these words, David. So I didn't. And so I took it outside, and I have a fire pit. And at the fire pit, I burned any number of things in the past, like obituaries and things that people that were close to me, things I wanted to let go. And so then I had to make a choice of what I was going to use to light it with. So I have some wooden matches, then I have like a lighter, and then I have a torch. So if I put a torch to it, it would, no question, it would just ignite. And I thought, well, I want this to be real, so I'm going to use the wooden matches. And so it was a little breezy, and it was outside, so I took the wooden matches and I lit them. And it took and I thought it would light immediately, but it didn't. It took 3-4 matches, and then it didn't burn rapidly like I thought it would. It kind of took its time, and it kind of, I watched the flame, and it kind of rolled around, and actually it burned everything, but there was one little tiny piece of the paper that did not burn. And I left it. I said, I'm just going to leave that little tiny piece. So I did. And so so the experience was good, but not if I was to say what I expected before I did it, it was definitely different, because it didn't burn as rapidly as I thought and ignite as quickly as I thought it would. But I like doing it. So.
Yeah. And so it's, again, it's astonishing because we all assume, because it's paper, we all assume that it's going to light right away. You figure it's something that's not going to take you very long. And then when you realize, oh my gosh, I actually have to work at getting this to actually burn. This doesn't make any sense. So your brain's going, what the heck is going on here? And then slowly but surely your consciousness is going, wait a minute, the energy on that paper is resisting this. It's more than just the material paperwork. There's an energy attached to it. Those are my emotions, my words, my thoughts, and there's a resistance. And so, yeah, you're being aware of that. That's part of the resolving and dissolving of this. So that's really remarkable. Is there anything else that you want to add? Anything else?
No, I think that covers it, Lillian.
Fantastic, David. That was beautiful. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Haiti.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, so I had an experience of holding the paper in my hand and lighting it from one of the bottom corners. I found it went up okay, but I did find that I held it perhaps, so this is the metaphor that I put with it, held it perhaps too long, and I did start, having to, like the flames were, it's not that they were coming towards me, they were going up, but clearly the way I was holding it, it was like, I'm going to get burnt by this if I hold it too much longer. So, I sort of, made that mean, I suppose, in my mind, how this has been hurting me. Also that I've created it, and then how it's been hurting me. And then when I went to let go of the last corner, it was a bit like David, it actually just didn't burn that last bit. So I'm wondering if I'm holding on or there's a little bit left to let go. I didn't go and burn that. I noticed it didn't have any words on it, a bit that was left. I'm hoping that's a good thing. But I probably didn't take as much notice to, I burnt it in a metal bowl that I would maybe, it's like a bell, I suppose, a bowl bell thing that I have on my table where I sit in the morning. And I didn't take too much notice, to be honest, of like the smoke or the ash, and I kind of wish I had now. But I had some interesting insights in the week following around how I'd created these beliefs about myself and love and partnership and being in relationships, that I'd actually created them to keep me safe, which I know, like we kind of all know that it's true, but it really sunk in, the awareness. So I'd created these, then I'd held on to them, then I'd tried to let them go, then they'd come back to hurt me, then tried to let them go again and a little bit hung on, and, you know, so it was kind of all very, it made sense.
So
Like,
I am, I love that the universal force intelligence, the divine, as Dr. Joe says, that the all energy, it knows exactly what each and every one of us needs. So you instinctively chose to burn the paper holding it in your hand. And like all of us, we think it's going to catch fire easily, quickly, and it's going to just take a few minutes. And then we're surprised by what is revealed. And your first revelation that you shared that you had while you were burning it is that that this paper, this thing could burn you. That is the perfect 3D physical manifestation to let you know that if you hold on to this unforgiveness,
yeah,
not just burn you from that paper, but it can burn your life. It can burn you from the inside out.
yeah.
And so you needed to have that experience in that way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like the other great insight that I had as well was that given that I realized that I'd made up these things in my mind about my beliefs about relationships and love, it was kind of the first time I got that it was all an illusion as well, that it wasn't true. Like there was a part of me that thought it was true, that I would be happier on my own. Like I want a relationship, but there's a belief in my head because of my experience in life, both in my early childhood, attachment relationships, and then also thereafter in other relationships. I've not had the experience of being happy in a relationship. I've been quite happy on my own, or been really relieved when I've been single afterwards. So my experience, and that tells me, and beliefs I've made have been that you're going to be much happier on your own. You're just going to be terribly unhappy if you're in a relationship, with someone that you care about, because it could go terribly badly, or they could hurt you, or they're not going to meet your needs, or whatever it might be. But it was the first time I got that was part of the lie, the illusion that I told myself. Whereas before I kind of like believed, it's not that I believed it was true, but there was more of a reality check on that one for me as well. So it's hard when you see the dichotomy, or the what is it, where it's kind of like, I want a relationship, but then I'm so clear that there's a part of me that just doesn't. It's like, wait up, but that's not the right thing for you. Like, that's not going to be a good thing for your life, which is the hidden unconscious part, which was good to bring it up to the conscious awareness anyway. And that was what I suppose was revealed to me this week after the burning, so to speak, but still good, probably connected to, but not at the same time. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Katie. So this is so wonderful. I'm feeling like goosebumps and this vibration in my body as I'm hearing you guys each tell your experiences. But I feel like it's so perfect, like each one of you, what you're experiencing, and you are getting out of this what your soul needs, and it knows that this is part of your path, and that you are so powerful that you created these thoughts, and you're not alone. Every single one of us have done this and have been doing this. And so we have created that illusion, and we argued for our limitations, and we were justifying and rationalizing. Now, bear in mind, because I find that there are so many clues in our English language. When we rationalize something, we are rationing out a portion of lies. That's what rationalizing is. So now, by you rationalizing or rationing out a portion of lies to yourself, you're trying to prove to the world that this lie is true in your world, which is not true. But as you become aware of the places in your life and how you're the one who ultimately has the power to focus, you're the only one who can manage and who can put your hands on the steering wheel of your free will. And so you have the free will to choose to do that or not, or something much better, much more joyous, much more pleasant. It's indiscriminate. That energy loves you so much that if you choose one spectrum or the other, it's okay. Whatever you wish, it's your free will. It's not going to force you to anything, but we are forcing ourselves sometimes to limiting beliefs and to thoughts and emotions that don't serve us, that are not for our highest good. And we so desperately want to protect ourselves from not only physical pain, but also emotional and psychological and spiritual pain is as it's as deadly, as hurtful, as caustic, as damaging as physical pain. You know, if that weren't true, we wouldn't have all the suicides around the world. So make no mistakes, this energy is powerful. So this exercise is designed to help you take back again your power, and to, we don't have to move forward as we move through this 90-day HeartMate experiment. We don't have to carry that backpack of 150 pounds on our back. So now you feel lighter, and you literally put it in the past, you watch it dissolve, it's gone.
The beauty about seeing the illusion, the lie in it, was that I could finally see the truth, which was, wait a second, maybe I can create like a really loving relationship where there's healing for both me and my partner, and that I can actually be myself, not having to hide myself or being afraid to be who I am, which are all the things I've been worried about, which again, I've created in, and so that was really the beauty of revealing the illusion. It also in the same time revealed the truth a little bit more anyway. So it was great. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. And I want to point out that all has to do with vulnerability. Interestingly enough, I don't believe in coincidences. I call them God incidences. I'm actually writing a book called God Incidences. And it's when 2 points in time meet. And you actually said something about, feeling safe to show who you truly are in a relationship. That has to do with our ability to be vulnerable with another human being. And that is at the foundation of coming together with a heartmate, because you want not just one, but you want both parties to feel that you both have co-created this safe space where you both can be vulnerable. And you can stand in the gap for each other. You don't have to fix anything, but just stand in the gap and say, you know what, I hear your pain. You're safe here with me. You can just, relax into my arms. I'm here to love you. I'm not here to judge or criticize. There's no taboos wrong. This is a space of unconditional love, with unconditional truth, with unconditional communication. And I'm here for you, and I know that you're here for me. And we're just here to comfort each other when we have these things that come up, these emotions, these triggers of things that have happened in the past. It's impossible for me to know and feel what's going on in their body. Even as an empathic person, you may feel the thing, but you may not know what the root cause that's triggering or causing them grief or pain or anxiety or nervousness or whatever. And so you're like, you know what, it's okay. Let's talk about this. If you feel like talking about it, or if you want to tell me what you're thinking about, and it's all going to be fine. We're going to help. The whole objective is for us to love each other through this, and we're growing together instead of like privately dealing with it by ourselves. And then over time, you start to grow apart because we're not going to be vulnerable with each other anymore. I will be showing a clip that actually has 2 of Dr. Joe's students who met at a Dr. Joe event. Some words that are going to resonate that have to do with that. So I'm excited after listening to everybody here. We are going to watch that clip next. Okay, thank you, Haiti, so much. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Colin, you're next.
Hi. I missed last week, so I haven't been able to haven't a chance to watch the video yet, but I know what I'm going to burn. I just have to go through the exercise and actually do it.
So when you watch the video, not last week's episode, you'll see with that session, it'll take you through the entire steps because that's what we do in each one of these sessions. So just go ahead and watch it. And then after you watch it and after you follow the steps, then just go ahead and report back to us in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
If you don't mind putting it in the Facebook group and then cutting and pasting your report on the YouTube channel, that would be fantastic. It makes it easy for me to cross-reference and double check it. So,
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
thanks,
Thank you.
Colin. I appreciate it. Okay, next person. Whoops, I meant to. There we go. Next person is Sanray. Sanray, first of all, whereabouts are you from? Oh, you have to unmute yourself first. There we go.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I really haven't been very often. Actually, you sent me the Zoom, so I am kind of out of what is happening. But I have done exercises of forgiveness and in a different way. But I have worked a lot that part in a different way. No boring. Yeah, I have boring stuff too.
Okay. So just go ahead and watch last week's episode. Make sure you watch, the day of the 7th, which shows, everything that you need to know about moving forward till August 5th, what we'll be doing. And then watch the episodes before and just follow the instructions, and the same thing, just write your report after you watch May 10th, which was the first Monday, and then last week, just report it on the Facebook group, and then cut and paste those responses to the corresponding episodes on the YouTube channel comments. Okay.
I missed 2.
Yeah, so there was 2 months. So this is the 3rd Monday.
Okay.
Okay. And then that's it. What city, country, whereabouts in the world are you?
I live in Atlanta, but I'm from Colombia.
Okay, so Atlanta, Georgia. So we've got Atlanta, Georgia. Well, welcome to the group and thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, you're quite welcome. Okay, so I think that's pretty telling what we are evidencing here as a result of us doing this forgiveness exercise, and where we have a higher level of knowingness, recognizing the energy and the part that our consciousness plays in everything that we're doing. We're actually seeing tangible results and how we are having reactions with what is normal and what isn't normal. Like, it's normal for paper to catch fire easily. It's not normal for paper to resist and for you to repeatedly have to burn that piece of paper, but we are conscious enough and we're aware that we are affecting our 3D existence by the words that we speak, the thoughts that we think, the emotions that we feel, and by the images that we allow in our midst, whether we put them on things like programming water, or stickers of images, or whatever we watch on TV or YouTube and so forth. So it all creates a chemical reaction and a 3D manifestation. So moving on to the next section, I want to review. We already talked about the programming of water results. I want to talk about our journal entries because we did talk about writing down any dreams that we have, or any insights, or any synchronicities, any unusual happenings or manifestations as we're moving forward every day. We have on our radar, we're aware that because we're connecting with the divine, we're connecting with our heartmate every day. We're feeling them, talking to them, imagining, we have our mind movies, and so on and so forth. Well, we are going to pop into our experience different things. So I'm going to share a thing that to me was quite shocking, because just 3 days ago, I think it was 3 days ago, I told I told the divine as I was doing, playing with the energy, and I had this really spectacular meditation where I could really smell his hair, I could smell his skin, I could feel my hands on his shoulders, the smoothness of his skin. It was a really I'm going to call it an ultra sensory experience. I even felt like a vibration going through my body. And I was like, holy cow. So at the end of that meditation, I said to the divine, I said, okay, give me some sort of tangible 3D sign so I know that I made contact with the divine. I mean, that was a pretty powerful, like, ultra sensory experience already. Because I was thinking, oh my gosh, if that's in the meditation, I can't imagine what in the 3D world it'll be like. But I'm like, I just wanted something, a synchronicity. So I said, I am a horse lover. I love horseback riding. Anywhere in the world I go, I always make it a point to book horseback riding, doing a tour, yada, yada. So I said, what's the most outrageous thing I could think of? So I'm like, there's no such thing as a blue horse. So let me just, I'm like, show me a blue horse, and I'll know that I made contact with you, the divine. So I'm thinking I'm going to see a sticker. I'm going to see perhaps maybe a crystal figure shaped like a horse. I'm thinking it could be a like a cartoon of a blue horse. That's what I'm originally thinking. So the next day, when I'm on Facebook, I normally don't go to my normal Facebook page. I normally go specifically to, like, Leaving the Monastery Dr. Joe group, and I have the Dr. Joe followers dating group. I have some specific groups that I interact with, but I don't waste my time on my major, on my wall. Once in a while I'll look at it, but not really. So I happened to look on my wall this time, and wouldn't you know, as you all know, as we all know, unicorns are white, right? Well, on my wall, a person had posted a video of a neighbor who was wearing a blue unicorn outfit, and they were doing lawn work. And I said, that's a blue unicorn. Yeah, unicorns are like horses, but it's a unicorn, not a horse. So that's not it. But how odd that they put that they would even find an outfit of a unicorn in blue. So I thought, that's kind of strange, but I'm like, that's not it. Later that day, I get this from, of all people, my best friend, who I don't talk to in real life every day, but every day I'm telling her, oh my gosh, Tammy, you'll never guess what. It's like, oh my gosh, he got me this surprise gift today, and I'm so excited, blah, 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 blah. I'm, part of the exercise, the visualization, and also the speaking it, right? So she knows I love horses. So what does she send me? And to say that I was blown away would be simply an understatement. It's a real horse, a blue stone quarter horse. I said, oh my gosh, that's impossible. There's no such thing as a blue horse. She's like, no. There is. It actually has a blue mane. I said, I would have not even done a search. And I have done searches of all sorts of horse breeds, because on my vision board, in my mind movie, one of the things that I have is that my man and I, we're going to go horseback riding, that we will have these beautiful horses on our ranch and all this other stuff, that I'm taking special riding lessons so I can get even better at horseback riding. So there's specific type of horses, 14-hand horses, 17-hand horses, blah, 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 that I want. I've never, in all my years, I've been riding horses since I was 5 years old. There's an actual real blue horse that exists. So I thought, oh my gosh, there's so much that we are unaware of, that we think isn't possible, that we think doesn't exist, like our heart, that perfect heartmate that will fulfill all your needs, be your one and only, that you can have a love of a lifetime, a romance of a lifetime with. That person exists. And it doesn't matter what your criteria, what your specifications are, whatever those things are, the divine's like, yeah, the reason why you want them is because that exists. I just wanted the manifestation. I got, it's like, so now my manifestation, now I want to see the real horse with my own two eyes. It's like, now that I know that it's possible, I'm like, I'd be remiss not to manifest somewhere, somehow. I don't care when or how, but I want to see this horse and with my own two eyes, I want to ride this horse. Is that not incredible? So needless to say, that was one of my journal entries. So I'd like to go down one by one and have you guys share what were some of your.
Lillian,
Mhm.
Lillian, we never heard from Robert and how he burned his paper.
Oh my gosh, thank you, David. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. I apologize, Robert. I didn't mean to overlook you.
No worries, and this is very appropriate, and I think it'll be a good talking point for you. I didn't burn them. I put them away with the rest of my 4x6 cards into a neat little pile over on the side, and I just got back to them today. Not kind of just realizing while listening to everybody's epitaphs that, oh my God, I have I see a blind spot right now that I didn't see a half hour ago. So, and that blind spot is self-forgiveness, gracious self-forgiveness. I mean, I'm a hard critic on myself. I think most people are. I know personally I am, and this is like a oh my God moment for me right now.
Wow, that is it's huge.
And I feel embarrassed before the group.
No, this is this group, this is the one place where you don't have, and I think this is not just for our group's sake, but I think it's also going to be part of the conditioning and relearning and creating new neurological pathways of the brain where you have a safe space. If you can have a safe space with this group, you can create that same safe space with unconditional love, unconditional truth, unconditional communication with your heart mate, where there's no rights, no wrongs, no taboos, no judgment, no criticism, no blame. Therefore, there's no resentment. There's no hidden, there's no like pulling away where you're, figuring it out totally on your own. You can come together and share whatever it is, and no one here in this group has to fix it. And with your heartmate, you're not going to your heartmate for them to fix it. They're there to just love you through it and say, you know what? Yeah, I've felt some of those same things. I've struggled with some of those same things, and you'll figure it out. I know that you're connected to the divine, that at the perfect time, at the right time, at the right place with the right people, things are just going to happen. Just like right now, it's happened for you.
I did notice this during the course of my week. I've been doing the Go Love meditations at least once a day on top of everything else. And usually, like in the past, when I had been doing it, just even past the last week, I would always tune into my heart mate as kind of the exercise that you were describing earlier. But this past week, I noticed that every time I tried to direct my inward attention to a heart mate, I was always, each and every time, redirected back to me being the person, the object in the Go Love, each and every time. And I have had some just intense, incredible Go Love meditations in the past week where, I don't say leave your body, but you're just kind of not present with, your attention is totally not on here, kind of stuff. So, and that's all, and that's much more intense than I've had any time prior. So.
Wow. So that is massive. That's monumental, because the realization and recognition of having to give yourself forgiveness and to have the divine redirect you to loving yourself.
Right.
Have to do the self-love, because once you fully integrate that self-love, oh my gosh, now she is going to be a person who is also going to have self-forgiveness and self-love. So now when you guys come together, it is going to be a much more pure, more powerful, vibrant energy, as opposed to coming together with someone who has issues with self-love and self-forgiveness. And instead you have a trauma bond that brings you together.
Right.
Instead of
Right.
pure love, which is what you really want. So, wow, Robert, that is, whoa, that's huge. That's awesome. I'm really excited for you too. Holy cow.
Good.
Wow. So with that being said, I just want to bring everyone's attention. This is not a space of shame or guilt or judgment or criticism. This is a place of grace. It's a gift. This whole 90-day Heart Made experience, this consciousness experiment. This is something that, believe it or not, you guys and me co-created this together. I received that download as I watched that superhuman movie, as I meditated, and you guys in 5D quantum must have been you were searching and wanting something like this. And so that's why we're here right now. We created this together, make no mistakes. And so we are gifting each other. You are a gift to me, I am a gift to you, and we are also interdependently gifting each other and anyone who's participating in this experiment, whether they watch this now, whether they watch this YouTube series a year from now, 2 years from now. This is a collective gift of grace, of love. So I want to just bring to your awareness that fact. And I'm just very, very grateful and honored that we are in this space together. Okay.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So that is fantastic. I think the next person let me see my little list here. The next person we're going to go to is Sean. Robert, you were done saying everything you needed to say? Okay, great. That was an awesome share. Sean, thanks for joining. And tell us, what was your experience with the forgiveness exercise when you went to burn the paper? Did you use a bowl that was steel? Did you use stone? Did you use a fireplace, a fire pit, matches, lighter? Tell us.
I'm like a couple others. I do have some catching up to do. I just wanted to pop in and listen, and I'm really glad to hear some of these people's experience, so it'll make it easier for me and to do it. And I got some ideas on what to put on this paper, so I'm excited to do it. One of the questions I had was, is it one item per piece of paper, or because I have like 3 or 4 things that are some unforgiveness things. So
you don't have to do them individually. You can be efficient.
Okay.
Because the divine, the energy doesn't.
Okay.
So as you watch that episode, it'll walk you through there's a golden frame portion of it,
okay,
which will help you resolve and dissolve it and literally put it behind you. And then there's this 3D aspect of it where there's certain words that you're going to write down. And I dictate it I dictate it slowly enough where everyone is able to write down word for word there. And then you're going to take that, but you've thought and have already resolved known and unknown issues, because not everything is going to be in your conscious awareness. So it'll make sense when you listen to that episode, which was last Monday. Okay, but thank you for joining. And I believe you're in Florida.
Yes, thank you. This is very interesting.
Yeah, so it's a very, that element of self-forgiveness is really big for all of us, because if you can only forgive another human being to the degree that you can forgive yourself. If you can't forgive yourself, then you're going to hold back. As much as you say, oh, I forgive him, you're not being entirely honest with yourself, because if you can't forgive yourself, then you're going to hold back with another person too. It's inevitable. So you have to start with self-forgiveness first, self-love first. Once you have that down, and you'll know, because you'll feel it in your heart, the divine will make it perfectly clear. And we know that from watching hundreds of Joe's testimonials, stories of transformation, where people make it very clear. In many cases, like us, we weren't aware that it was an issue of self-forgiveness. We were not aware that our hearts were closed, or maybe we knew that we were repressing energy, that we were repressing negative emotions, but we didn't realize that was actually causing us to close our hearts. And so once you can fully open that up, let it go, feel what you need to feel, and then let it go, then whoa, everything, it's like, it's different. So you've got some exciting stuff coming up for you, is all I'm going to say. So, okay. So thank you, Sean, for sharing with us, for being part of this experiment too. So moving on, do any of you have any other journal entries that you want to share with this group at this time?
I do.
Okay, David, go ahead.
I wrote, so I mentioned last week, I was harvesting water because it was raining a lot.
Yes.
So after last week's meeting, I thought I should write a poem about water. And so it's not a long one, it's a short one, but I put together some words. And so often, it rains here quite often, and sometimes I'm lying in bed and I hear the raindrops, and I have often wondered, what if I was a raindrop? So anyway, I wrote this little poem. So I don't know that it's my journal entry, but yeah, I was inspired to do it. So anyway, it's short. I'll just share it with you. If I was a drop of water, I wouldn't watch the clock. I have been around forever, and time is on my lock and stock. I have been in the highest clouds and in the deepest oceans. Flowed in the river Nile, where the gators gave me a smile. I have been ice, and I have been steam. I have been fog, and I have been dew. The temperature decides what I do. Not really sure how I was made. One thing for sure, transforming my life venture is living, and I'm not afraid. If I drop of water. That's it.
Wow. Okay, so bravo, everybody. I want you to applaud for David. You allowed inspiration to come through. That is also a manifestation of an open heart. And my heart is beaming hearing that. I was like in awe, listening. I couldn't wait to hear your next word and going, oh my gosh, from the highest cloud to the deepest ocean. That was incredible. I would love for you to type it out and put it on our Facebook group. And I'll put it in the comments for this particular this video. I'll go ahead and I'll have the recording posted later tonight to YouTube. We'll put it in the comments. That is a gorgeous poem. Wow. I'm amazed. I really am amazed that you had that inspiration. Wow. Very cool. Wow. Oh my gosh, how good can this get? It just seems to be getting better and better every week. Oh. Okay, wow. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to listen to, there's a video clip. So let me see, I have it queued up.
I love Dr. Joe's work because I've always been a great manifester. Quantum physics, the particle lands where you believe it will. When my kids were 7, I showed them the slit experiment. I'm very much into this. And so because I had the 2 things, I was like, all right. So I had a list of 21 things. And the most important thing to me was obviously someone who understood me, who believed in the path that I chose, because I really have, as a physician, it's kind of hard to recalibrate your life when, now I just get people off of meds, and I'm bringing a group of patients to the progressive at Apollo, and, I'm doing a lot of different things. So I decided, support would be great, and love, and, So I had a list of 21 things that this is what I would like in a mate. I forgot to put that he should live, within a 500-mile radius because he was in Austria. But so yeah, I did that meditation. And again, I think that love was also very healing because I could feel in the meditations, I would cry, when Dr. Joe would say, and all of your needs are met. And I could feel him. Like I knew he wore jeans, not that he's wearing jeans now, but like the only visualizations I got were at points he was wearing jeans, and I could feel his love. I could feel this beautiful vibration of love. And that's the exact vibration he has. So that was with me starting in August of last year. So we went to Lake Garda separately, obviously, and we were just friends. The nice part of the story is we were just friends all week. We kind of hung out all week. We met the first day. And I should also mention that I sort of am very tuned into the universe. So I sort of have this spirit guide who I call like a bully, not in a bad way, but they're very demonstrative. And I'm usually quite shy. And so I sort of saw him. We were all sort of that first morning backed up in the stairwell for breakfast. It was kind of like traffic was stopped. And I noticed him. And he ended up noticing me, which I didn't know, and remembered what I said, which I didn't even remember, to someone else. And then I went back to my room because I'm always crying after the meditations and fixed myself up. And then when I came back, they weren't letting everyone into breakfast. So I see him sitting out in the lobby, and this voice in my head was like, go sit next to the handsome man. And I was like, oh. And I've had this voice in my life before where I knew you have to listen to it. The universe will only give you so much. So I did, and so the rest is history. But we were just friends all week.
Well, everybody else thought we were already a couple.
Apparently everyone else knew, but then a few weeks later I went to Austria, and by the time I went to Austria to visit him, we were already in love with each other, so that's our story.
What's really important about that story is that Pam had first had to fall in love with herself and with life, again, like taking back her life, until she could find the right match. That was really important.
That's a very good point. So in December, the month before I went to Italy, my mind moving Italy, Fight Song was the name of my song, and it was about taking back my life. So he's right, and I had a big love affair with myself in December, and I knew that I'd be fine no matter what happened, and I do think that's why it came in. But I thought like I was just setting a tone for years down the road, it was beautiful.
The most unexpected time.
Yes.
Okay, so on the heels of that, there's another clip that I want to share with you as well. Okay, with this gentleman, Joe, he has several things that I want, that I'm sharing this because it has to do with, manifesting and materializing on several different levels. So listen closely to what he says. And before we go into this one, I also wanted to point out with the video that you just saw, you notice how, she had a list of 21 things that she wanted in a mate, but she not only had them written down, but she realized that she needed to have self-love for herself before she could finally bring that person in. And once she did that, then she didn't have an expectation. She thought it was going to be years down the road. But of course, once she did this work, then, it happened pretty quickly. So let's listen to Joe and see what he says.
I'm now in Bonn at the advanced workshops. I've been doing the meditations, I've been doing the work, and I've been conceiving of creating a charity for young people, to give them a reason to be a voice for people who aren't able to speak, because everybody's got a story. And I've got a passion about this. And I've got no background in how to create it, or I've got no background in the technical part of it or the artistic side of it. But when I had that dream and I knew that I wanted that in my future, it started to materialize. The technicians came, the artists came, everybody came. And I've had an amazing experience a few weeks ago that I wanted to share. And that experience was the fact that I had a friend who was working on our charity website, the Claygate Trust, come over from France. And I was taking him back to the airport. We had had an amazing entangled experience. We'd been talking about quantum and non-location, non-locality, and all of the things about how to manifest the future. We were driving back to the airport, going north on the Cambridge A10. We crossed over a bridge, and we saw a car at the side of the road that was being helped by a service car, van, and we pursued up north up the Cambridge A10, And all of us, and Ian, my friend, and I were talking about the future and manifesting the future. And all of a sudden, we said, hang on, we're driving south to London. How did that happen? We're heading in the opposite direction. He says, I haven't a clue. I said, we haven't turned. We haven't done anything. So we go back to the place where we started from and came back over the bridge, saw the same car on the left-hand side of the road, and carried on up to the airport. And we watched to see if perhaps we were so engrossed in our conversation that we might have turned accidentally off the motor, and there was no turning. So somehow we manifested the fact that he was coming over in the future, and we were driving back as if I had picked him up in the future, heading back toward London. Joe talks about the fact that when you're in a different dimension, there's a different reality, multiverse, multi-universe, different realities. Something is happening in conjunction with what's happening here as we're sitting.
Lynn, did your computer cut out? Or the video cut out? Did you shut it off or did it cut out?
Looks like my internet dropped us and now it's buffering for whatever reason. So I apologize.
Oh.
The links to these videos that I'm showing, these clips, they'll be in the playlist for the 90-day HeartMate consciousness experiment.
To manifest my future self so that I could create abundance and I could create the things that I was dreaming about to help humanity. Not for me personally, but as an act of service to help humanity, because I know if that was my premise, I would be able to manifest it easier. So I was pondering when I went to sleep, and I woke up saying to myself, dimensional interface. And I sat up and I asked myself mentally, what's dimensional interface? And I looked up in the index to see if it might have been something I just read before I went to bed, and it wasn't. And I don't know what it means. In London, when Dr. Joe was giving his progressive workshop, he talked about, and he talked about it again today, how if you visualize a number or a letter, if you want a vacation, you put a V. If you want health, you put an H, or money, you put an M. And you draw two squiggly lines around it. One is the electromagnetic, one is the electric field, and the other one is the magnetic field. So you've got an electromagnetic field around this. And then in the left-hand column, you write down 4 different things that you want. I wanted, I wanted 80,000 pounds. I wanted to be able to pay back some of the people that had helped me set up this charity. There was something else in there. And the last one was I wanted to attend Dr. Joe's advanced workshop. In the right-hand column, you talk about how you would feel. There'd be so much love, there would be, you know, all the positive things. And we did that. And on the way back home, I manifested $11,000. So I told him the next time he did a workshop, I said, listen, I've got to tell you this. This was amazing. So I told him what happened, and he said, he said, that's great. He said, come up on stage and I want you to tell your story. So I went up on stage, told my story. Then there was I went down, sat down in my seat, and a guy came up and was talking to Dr. Joe. And I didn't know who it was, but it was somebody I had met at an Anita Moorjani seminar. And she had been talking to a group of people, and I had an example of something. The people that she was talking about, because she was saying, you know, we just need to love, darling. We just need to be more love. And everybody in the audience, the different women in the audience were saying, yes, but I've got a son who is so annoying. And he, you know, and everybody was talking about the problem. So I said to Anita, I said, listen, I've got a visualization technique that I had learned, not specifically from Joe, but the techniques I had learned from Joe. And I said, look, I treat all of those voices in my head as lodgers, somebody who's in your home, sharing your home with you. And if I don't want a lodger in my home, if I've got a lodger for criticism, if I've got a lodger for anxiety, if I've got a lodger for depression or someone who gets really upset, and I don't want them, if I don't want that quality in my head, if I don't want that voice in my head, I'll treat them as a lodger. And I say, look, you know, if you don't like the way that things are run here, voice in my head, I'll treat them as a lodger. And I say, look, you know, if you don't like the way that things are run here, leave. You know, we're born with the voice of the silence, but that gets weeded out when we're young by our parents. They have a voice in our head. Our religion has a voice in our head. We've got school has a voice in our head. Our peers have a voice in their head. And all of a sudden, you've got all these things chattering on your shoulders, and you lose the voice of the silence.
Happen. I live on a really long road, 10 miles steep. Oh, she's back.
I apologize. For some reason, my internet has dropped twice. So the recorded version of this, there won't be interruptions, but I apologize for that. I don't know what I'm gonna have to get my IT guy out here to figure out what we need to do so we don't have this happen again. Let's finish Joe's. He's almost done.
Right after it fell.
Right after it fell.
It was literally rolling down the road toward me.
Wow. That's great.
But I went ahead and I put the link in the chat so that you can watch that on your own. You basically, I don't know if you guys got to hear up to the part where he talks about whenever he has a negative thought, you know, he assigns it like that's like a lodger, like somebody who's staying, you know, in his home as a guest, as a lodger. And he gave him a nickname of Text. He's like a cowboy. And so he basically tells them, it's like, you know, if you don't like it here, you know, it's like, go out and go feed the horses. It's like, you know what, there's really no place for you here. This is just a space of, you know, loving, positive, uplifting type energy. None of that judgment or criticism is allowed here. So, but you'll be able to watch that on your own. The next part that we're going to go into is the new thing that we're going to add this week to our consciousness experiment. And this is inspired by somebody in our group who told me that they were inspired to do this. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's a wonderful idea. That's a great thing to add. And so what you're going to do is you are going to have one text message a day to your heartmate. So once a day, you're going to just have a sweet little text message that says, hi, sweetie, want to see how you're doing. Can't wait till you get home. Or I'll be, you know, I'm going to swing by the store. Do you want me to pick up this or that? Whatever it is that comes to your imagination that would make it feel real to you. And so play with it. And it's just once a day, you just text message yourself. Is that, does everybody understand the instructions on texting yourself? I want to see everybody nod. If just give me a thumbs up if you got that, if everybody gets that. Everybody gets that? Can you hear me okay? So,
and then also it's good for spam. It's like if you don't want to give people your real number, give them a Google Voice so you can kind of.
Okay. So I heard that's a good idea. Whoever was suggesting the Google Voice number, you can text to your Google Voice number too, by the way, which is kind of nice. Did everybody hear the instructions about text messaging? I'm sorry, my internet connection is just unstable. I'm not sure what the issue is. So can you all see this? Okay, the only person I see is Haiti, Robert, Sean, Terry, David, Colin, Sanray. Yeah, the only person that I see on camera is Haiti. So for some reason, it looks like we're just having, I think the bandwidth, it doesn't say internet unstable at this time, but my bandwidth must be compromised. And I took my VPN off and I turned the music off that we had on earlier because it kept on turning on while that video was playing. So I think that's why the connection was dropping. But I'm going to put in the chat instructions we are adding for this week is texting our heartmate. So we're going to text our heartmate daily. And so you're just going to text them. Just text them to yourself. And then I'm going to also put here in the chat so that you guys know there are 5 things that we're going to be measuring moving forward. So as you write these down in your journal for the 90-day Heartmate Consciousness Experiment, you're going to note your synchronicities, serendipity, coincidences, signs, symbols. You're going to, of course, continue to take note of your dreams. Take note of the people that you meet. If you have any dates, any encounters with people where you end up going out for coffee or for dinner or anything like that, make note of that as well. And any connections with people in any way, even if it's somebody that maybe you meet at the supermarket and maybe you have a great conversation, you don't necessarily get their name or number, but you just had a really great interaction. That is showing you that you're opening up to other possibilities. And so those